Jesus Christ. Lift them high. I'm not here for Christ.
Hey y'all.
Yeah.
Hey y'all. I'm gonna wait for some people to come in. In the meantime, sorry, I got stuff coming in on. I have a phone here, an iPad here, and a laptop here. So I'm gonna try to look at all these different cameras, but yeah, I'm gonna try to look at all these different cameras at one time, but it may not happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I'm gonna post this anyway. Y'all, I just want to talk about like the past year or so of my life and how God has come through for me. So I was working a job at a hospital making $12 an hour, more or less, which is like, for the work that I was doing. And I was not in a healthy environment. God clearly wanted me out of this place. I ended up, getting fired and had to, like, I was about to get fired and I quit. So that's like a whole nother story on its own. And I had like 10 grand saved up because at the time God had told me to move to Texas. When I tell y'all, and he told me he wanted to provide for me when I was moving. When I tell y'all, like all the money flew out of my account, like from like pop tires, from food, like just expenses on my life. Like it just went away. School, like was paying for school, stuff like that. It just went away. So then y'all, so tell me how like the past, and I stopped working at that job on March 24th, 2021. This whole entire time, y'all, God has been providing for me. I did not have another job. He told me he wanted to move me here to Texas by his power and by his might. I have not worked another job. I worked for my parents during tax season for like 2 months, and that was a part of him getting me to Texas. But like working like a real life job, I have not worked. So I haven't been getting paid. I did not get a W-2 from nobody when I filed my taxes. And that's a whole nother thing. When I got my tax return back this year, this is the biggest tax return I have ever received, and the least amount that I worked. I literally worked 3 months in 2021, and I received like a couple $1,000s for my tax return. Like that is nothing but God to me. So then y'all, God moved me here to Texas. Let me just read the message, because the reason that I'm bringing this up is just to talk about if you really want something and if your faith is big enough to receive it, and if you just believe in the God that we serve, or the God that I serve, God the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, the Holy Trinity. If you believe in that God, he's got your back. He is alive, he is living, he is well. And this conversation came up because I wanted to go visit my grandpa. So my grandma passed away in May, either late April or May. I think it was late April. My grandma passed away. I don't know. I try not to think about it. She passed away recently. Let's put it like that. And I didn't have a ticket to go see her because I was not working. And tickets from Miami to South Carolina cost like almost at least $500 most of the time. And so I couldn't afford it. And I was outside crying. And a lady walked up to me. I'll never forget. Her name was Cookie. And she was like, "Do you believe in God?" She started talking to me. She was like, "God has got you, whatever you want, whatever you need." And I'm sorry, y'all see me in this. I'm getting ready to go to the gym. So she's like, "Whatever you want, whatever you need, God is going to give it to you. And he's going to like make your days brighter. Don't worry about it." Bam. This lady spoke this over me. And I kid you not even a couple minutes later, I was praying about getting to South Carolina. And like a couple of minutes later, my auntie texted me that that my cousin was paying for like multiple people's tickets to South Carolina. Like, and I just busted out crying because I knew that was only God, because it was no way, like I couldn't afford this. I didn't have a job, and I'm crying saying that I can't afford to go to my grandma's funeral. And then I get a random text message saying an all expense paid trip to go to my grandma's funeral. Like, so that was that. Then I want to go back now for the 4th of July because every summer we go see my great grandparents. But my great grandma just passed away. So I wanted to go see my grandpa and check on him and see my family because I just moved. And I didn't have a way. I asked somebody to pay for it. They told me no. And I was just like, okay, whatever. Like I just gave up on it. And I was like, I'm not gonna worry about it. Tell me why when I gave up, y'all, I literally just got a text message saying that, like, I got not a text message, I got a phone call from somebody saying that they wanted to pay for my trip to go to South Carolina, and the ticket is like $600 and something dollars. So for me to not have a way and have already gotten turned down and prayed about it by faith, and then somebody else texts me saying that they're going to pay for me to a $600 some dollar ticket, almost $654 ticket to go see my my grandpa, because my grandma just passed away. That to me was nothing but God for me to pray for that and to receive that. Now I was like, okay, God, I see you. Like, you provided a way. I didn't have the money to get the ticket. I prayed about it. You got somebody to pay for my ticket. Now I need to get a ride to and from the airport, because it's like a 2.5 hour drive from my great grandpa's house. And so, or like a 2 hour drive, I'm sorry. So I texted in the group chat, nobody responded. Somebody else texted me and was like, I'm gonna take you to and from the airport. So I'm like, bam, like, wow, like I couldn't believe it. And then y'all, so tell me why I told y'all I have not worked since 2021. I was working at this job at this hospital in Miami where I was making $12 an hour. I moved here to Texas because God told me to move. I moved here with one suitcase, one bag. When I tell y'all everything that he told me like months ago in 2021, he told me, I think it was like around September, October, and I moved this year, 2022 in April. He told me to write down every single thing I wanted in my apartment. When I tell y'all I have everything that I wanted, like light cabinets, stainless steel appliances, brand new appliances, like smart appliances. I have all of that. I have 2 sinks in my bathroom. I have a garden tub, everything that I asked this man for. I have amenities in my apartment complex like crazy. And I'm not on here to brag. It is to talk about the faith that you can receive what you want if you believe in the God who gives the promises. Like, this man is not going to let you fail. Like, he's not going to let you look dumb when you put his name on your life. Like, this man, and it's like, it's bringing me to tears because I'm so grateful. And I can't believe that we serve the God that we serve, because we so undeserving and we so sinful. And all the years that this man called me back to Christ, and I ran away from him and did what I wanted to do, for me to come back and give my life to him, and for him to give me everything that I wanted, y'all, and still providing for me. I don't have words to speak on that. So he ended up paying for my ticket to come see my grandma. And y'all, so I start my job. Let me get back to the story. So I got a job. The job, I was working in Miami, getting paid $12 an hour. God told me to move here to Texas, and he's paying me $19.20 plus, because I get shift differential. $19.20 plus to work the same exact job here in Texas. Like, there's no way that this man turned around and blessed me like that. And I can't say that it's from anybody else except for God making a way for me when I asked him to, and he came through. So I start my job July 5th, but I want to go see my grandparents for the 4th of July. So I said, okay, I didn't have the money. Somebody came and got me the ticket and said it would pay for my ticket $654. I don't have no ride to and from the airport. My grandpa's house is 2 hours away. Somebody said, hey, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to pay for you. I'm going to pick you up and drop you off to the airport so you can get back home to start work on July 5th. And y'all, the flights have been getting canceled. I don't know if you've been hearing. The flights have been getting canceled like crazy lately. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on with the airports, but everybody's flight is getting canceled. So I was talking to somebody and they're like, oh, you don't need to go. Like, that's so irresponsible. You don't need to go, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to read y'all, and I'm not trying to put this person on Front Street if they end up seeing it, whatever. But at the end of the day, I have a duty to tell people about the God that I serve and about how he can come through for you if you just trust him. So this person said to me, they said, Naya, I don't want you to lose out on an opportunity that you took a while to get. because I've been here in Texas for a month, and it took a month. And mind y'all, the month that I've been here in Texas, when I signed up for my apartment, they gave me a month of free rent. So I didn't have a job during that month. So God told me to move here. And I'm like, Lord, please let me find a job. And he was like, I want you to move without a job. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I ended up doing it anyway. And then the month that I wasn't working is when I found a job. So I got a month of free rent, and then I found a job, and and somebody sent me money to pay for my rent this month, because my job starts July 5th and my rent was due July 1st. And July 1st, and I paid it yesterday. But anyway, this person said to me, Naya, I don't want you to lose out on an opportunity that you took a while to get. Nonetheless, if you need a ride, I can drop you to the airport on the 4th, because this person had originally told me that they was upset that I was going because I'm risking an opportunity that I don't have a job and blah, blah, blah. And I'm risking it. And I was just saying, like, I wasn't going to go. I gave up on going, like, and for God to give me the money for the ticket and provide me a ride for me to go, like, that's just him showing up in my life again. And I'll be a fool to just sit here and say, God, yeah, you doing this, but I still don't trust you. I still don't appreciate you. All the stuff that you did for me thus far, like, just forget about it. And I'm not going to do that, because clearly this man, he's showing me that I prayed for it. He's giving me the answer, and I'm going to just say, oh, I'm still too scared. Like, I'm not going to do that. So they said, nonetheless, if you need a ride, I can drop you off to the airport. And I said, I appreciate your concern, blank. I do, but I look over my life in the past year, and I've had less than I ever had, because I have not worked since March of 2021. Literally have not received the W-2 except for the 3 months that I worked. And then when I got my tax return, it is the biggest tax return that I have ever worked in the least amount of months that I've worked ever. Like, only working 3 months and then got the biggest tax return I've ever received since I've been 16 years old working a job. So I said, but I look over my life in the past year, and I've had less than I ever had. And this is a text message I'm reading, y'all. I don't want to show y'all the person's name. I had to take screenshots and send this to my laptop. So I'm reading this to y'all. And it says, but I look over my life in the past year, and I've had less than I ever had. And it has been the most that I have ever received. In the middle of COVID, one of my aunties, let me just read it. In the middle of COVID, one of my aunties offered me a ticket to Cancun when I prayed to God and said I needed a vacation, because I was extremely stressed. I had just lost, I didn't lose my job yet at this time, but I was extremely stressed out and just so depressed and down. And I was just like, I just want to get away from here. And then literally, like, maybe like a couple days to a week later, she called me and was like, oh, do you want to go to Cancun? I'll pay for everything. And I'm like, whoa, like, and that was like one of the first, like, that God started showing out and showing me that if I have faith in my prayers to believe for something, that he would make a way. So, and I said, when I prayed to God and when I said I need a vacation, and then that's when COVID had just came out in 2020. So I'm like, this wasn't the last year, but when COVID had just came out in 2020, in March of 2020 is when I went on the vacation. And everybody was saying, like, oh, you shouldn't go nowhere. You're going to catch COVID, blah, blah, blah. Like, at the airport, you're not going to be able to get through. Had a great time. And I promise y'all, I didn't text this, but when I'm started taking off to go to Cancun on the airplane, I had a window seat. And when I opened my window, I kid you not, I don't want to say promise, because the Bible tells us not to promise, to say yes, it's and no's. So I kid you guys not, I saw a cloud shaped like an angel, like bending. Let me see. They were like kneeling down like this, like in the sky. I saw an angel shaped like that. And I was like, and that was just God confirming to me that he got my back and he's not going to let nothing happen to me. So I was like, okay, bet. So I had a great time. Then I prayed. My last trip before I moved here is the trip that I found my apartment, because God, I already had booked a flight at this point. Like, God told me to book a flight in faith for a certain date. And I was like, I'm going to book this flight, but like, he was like, book a flight for this date and you're going to find your apartment. And I was like, I don't have like no apartment. Like, I keep looking everywhere. I don't see nothing. And it's just because this apartment that I'm in right now is brand new. Nobody has ever lived here, and it has all the appliances that I prayed for, the light cabinets, the light fixtures, the light walls, stainless steel counters, granite counters, stainless steel appliances, smart appliances, a garden tub, like two sinks, a huge mirror, like everything that I prayed for, and a whole large windows for natural lighting. Everything that I prayed for is in this list. So God told me to book the flight and was like, you're going to find your apartment. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, but it was just because the apartment wasn't posted anywhere because it was brand new. So when I got here, I found my apartment, I booked the trip. And because I don't know, I thought I had the money for some reason, but I didn't end up having the money for the trip. And I was like, you know what? Like, it was to the point where I wanted to be like, God, I'm going, to the point where I booked my flight without insurance on it in the middle of COVID, booked my flight without insurance. And then what else did I do? I booked my flight without insurance. And then I did something else that was like, I can't remember, but I forgot where I was going with this. But anyway, so let me just get back to it. Oh, I didn't have the money for the trip. So I told y'all I wasn't working. So like I booked my flight without insurance. So like I basically had to go or I was going to miss out on the entire opportunity, which I obviously couldn't do. And then I didn't have no money for the trip. And I was like freaking out. I was like, Lord, I'm just going to sleep in the airport. Like I tried to get an Airbnb that was cheap. And then I couldn't decide on the Airbnb. And then somebody ended up booking a room. And I was like, man, then I tried to get another one. And it just started getting as expensive as a hotel. And I couldn't afford the hotel. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep in the airport. And I'm going to just go there for one day, find my stuff, and come back home. God ended up putting somebody in my life to pay for my ticket to go to Texas to find my apartment. And I didn't have to stay one day. I stayed 4 days. I got to eat whatever I wanted. This person paid for all of my food. They came with me, helped me get a rental car, everything, like to get this apartment. So now I said, I prayed, and I'm going back to the text. I said, I prayed, booked my flight to visit Houston, and blank ended up coming to my rescue. And I cried, hold on. Okay, I cried for a way to and I said this earlier, I cried and prayed for a way to my grandma's funeral, and blank ended up paying for my ticket because I didn't have no money. I didn't have a job. I didn't have no ticket. So they ended up paying for my ticket. I put another instance. I prayed over and over again about my move to Texas, and blank ended up helping me get there for my entire move. I moved here without a job, and God gave me one. I was working the same job in Miami, making $12 an hour. And now I'm in Texas about to start this job, making 19, 20 plus an hour because I get paid shift differential. And I put another instance. I said, I prayed about me being sad about my parents not being home for Father's Day. And their flight ended up getting canceled, and they ended up staying back a week. And then the week after, my brother got committed to a D1 school for football at Central Michigan. Imagine if they had went the week that they were supposed to go. Who would have known if somebody dropped a spot or something, this man got committed. I'm not saying like he sucks or whatever, like my brother's good, but I'm just saying like you don't know, or if somebody that needed to be there that was like, I like this kid, and they held weight, who would have known if that person wasn't there the week that they were supposed to go, and then the week that they actually showed up, that person was able to make it. You don't know what God did to cancel that trip, but I know for a fact that he also canceled that trip for me to be home with my family because it's what I wanted. So I said, and then the next part is, which is now. And I said, and now I want to go to South Carolina to see my grandpa and to see because my grandma just passed. I want to see my grandpa and I want to see my family. And I said, I gave up on going, and I randomly get a call and found a ride to pay for my ticket and my $654 ticket, and found a ride to and from the airport. And I said, I strongly believe that God works things out for me no matter whose heart he puts me on to get it accomplished. I have faith that if he made a way, he will see it through for me. And I know that I'm talking to this person because they was nervous and don't want me to go because I start my job July 5th and all the flights is being canceled. And they're like, I don't think you should go. And I put, I know that you are scared, nervous and scared, but I will be okay. I will go to South Carolina, get to spend time with my family, and I will be back for work on July 5th. It will be good. God told me I did not have to live in lack because I didn't physically have, like, I don't have a job, I don't have money. He told me I didn't have to live in lack all because I don't physically have the money present in my face. And it said, and I just needed to believe that he would take care of me. Excuse me. And I do believe that. And I said, but I thank you for sharing your concerns with me. And I know it's only because you care. I love you. And this person actually wrote back something that I didn't expect, basically saying that they think that I live off the backs of other people, which is besides the point. But I'm going to tell y'all another instance where, okay, so this morning I'm starting this job on July 5th. This morning I had to call in for my health screening for my job. But last night, y'all, like I cooked, I showed early in the week that I was meal prepping, and one of the meals that I made was spaghetti. So I ate the spaghetti, caught the itis, knocked out like at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock when I ate it, woke back up at like 10 something or 11 something. I went to the gym, came back, and when I came back to my apartment, at this point, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, more or less. A girl behind my apartment, I wish I could show y'all. So it's like my apartment and then a one-way a field, like in between, a one-way street, and then some more grass, and then the highway. That's how it's like laid out. So my apartment is here, then it's like a little field, like grass, and then it's a one-way street that I guess you can drive on, and then a little bit more grass, and then the highway. So this girl is driving on this one-way street in the middle of the night at dark, and she's drunk, and she crashes into a pole. And I didn't think nothing of it because I'm always hearing people on that street speeding, like on with their tires or whatever, like or whatever. Like I didn't pay no attention because I'm like whatever. But like the crash that I heard, it made me look out the window, and I saw like the car like total, and I'm like, what the crap? Like, and I grabbed my keys, put on my shoes, ran downstairs, and I'm screaming through the gate, and I'm like, hey, 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 can you hear me? And the person wasn't moving. I was so nervous, and I'm like, hey, 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 like, can you hear me? And then she gets out of the car and she's like, hello. But the girl is drunk. It's not funny, but like, it's because of how I said it. But the girl is drunk and she crashes into a pole. Her car is totaled. And then I'm like, wait, like, don't leave. Like, I'm coming to get you. I try to jump the gate. I have tall gates on my apartment, so nobody obviously jumps over the apartment. So I'm trying to get there, super like hard to get there. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Let me just, and I live in the back of my units, and I already had on my workout clothes, which was perfect because I just came from the gym. So I had to sprint all the way to the front of my community. I had to come run here, get my keys, put on my shoes, sprint all the way to the front of my community, and run out the gate through a field. And y'all, I also been putting on my story that I've been scared, like, well, that I've been trying to help rescue these kittens, and they live in that field, but I never wanted to go by the field because it's like the grass is really tall. It has a lot of potholes and look like snakes could be in it, to be honest. But y'all, so I had to run through that field. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to run through that field, but if I go the other way, it might take too long for me to reach this girl. So I started running through the field to go check on her. And then when I got there, or when I was running there, she started trying to take off, like trying to leave, but her car was like making a horrible noise because she totaled it because she crashed into a pole. So I'm like, at this point, she was on the phone with the police. So I called the police too. So, and I'm like running, talking to the police, trying to help rescue this girl. So long story short, the police came, everything's okay, the girl's fine. And then so then I end up going to bed last night at like 5:30 in the morning. But I told y'all, remember, I had a health screening call from my job this morning at 10:30. So I'm like, Lord, like, please help me wake up in the morning. I read my Bible last night. I went to sleep, said a prayer, set an alarm for 10 o'clock so I could be up. I remember waking up, turning off my alarm. I was like, okay, I'm up. I went back to sleep. Y'all, tell me why in the middle of my sleep, and while I'm talking to this girl, I'm talking to her about why she was drinking. Like, is she depressed? that kind of stuff, like asking her, like, obviously you crash into the pole, like your car's messed up, you're trying to like run away from the situation, but if you don't solve what's in here, you're gonna end up, God gonna rescue you from the situation, and you're gonna end up coming back in the same place because you didn't solve what the problem was. And this girl is 18 years old, drunk, crashed into a pole behind my house, and I'm out there at till like 4 something in the morning talking to her. So then I end up coming back to my apartment, falling asleep. I kid you not, y'all. I woke, God literally whispered to me in my ear this morning, wake up. And I woke up, it was 10:26 in the morning. And when I looked at my phone, I was getting a phone call from my job. Like I woke up, like looked at my phone and answered the phone, like, hello. Like, so it looks like to them, I wasn't late. I didn't sound sleepy. And normally, if you know me, I wake up like, like with a frog voice. I didn't have that issue. But it's just to say that when you do stuff on behalf of God, and when you believe in God and have faith in God, He has your back. He will not let you fail. He, like, when you put His name on your life, God is not God. If you read the Bible, God worries about, like, He loves like doing stuff for His name's sake, to bring glory to His kingdom so that He can bring other people into Christ. So that's just to say, I just wanted to share a little bit of my testimony. And I told this person that, because they wrote me something kind of negative, because they said that basically, like, I just live off of other people, of what they feel. And I never asked anybody for anything. I never asked nobody to give me money. I never asked nobody to do nothing for me. But it was God that put this, and it was me trusting and believing in God to provide for me. And how God provides is how He provides. Like, I didn't ask nobody to do nothing. He puts me on that person's heart to call me or to text me and ask me, do I need something? Do I want something? I never not once asked nobody for nothing. And that's how I know it's nothing but God that did that for me. I also, another testimony, I also went to the doctor's office to pay for a visit at the doctor. I paid out of pocket. They told me that my test, the lab, I didn't want to take no lab test or nothing like that. And the doctor's like, oh, take the lab test so I can see your vitamin D levels and all this stuff. And I didn't go to the doctor for that reason. I'm like, is it going to cost extra, or can I just pay up front and that's it? And she's like, and does it come with my physical? And she's like, yeah, I know, you don't have to pay anything extra. We'll run it in-house for you. When you pay self-pay, they're not supposed to run your blood stuff or your blood test or whatever you get done, like your lab work. They're not supposed to run it in the actual office. They have to send it out to a place like Quest or whatever. And all the tests that she ran on me, my bill ended up coming out to like $500 and something. And I was so teed off, like telling y'all, like, I'm calling HR, calling the company, complaining at the doctor's office. Like, I called, they kept putting me on hold, wouldn't talk to me, had to go to the doctor's office. The supervisor still wouldn't talk to me. Like, and it ended up being, y'all, I kid you not, like maybe like a month later, and God was like, I'm going to handle the problem. I'm going to handle the problem. Leave it alone. Stop worrying about it. I'm going to handle the problem. A month later, miraculously, they told me my bill was canceled. Nobody, my mama didn't pay that bill. My daddy didn't pay that bill. My sister didn't pay that bill. I don't know who in the heck paid the bill. Maybe it was the doctor, but I will never know. To me, it looks like God told me He was going to take care of that bill, and He took care of that bill. It was wiped off my slate. And it was so stressful to me because I was not working. I'm just here to tell y'all, God is real, and whatever you believing in Him for, if you just have the faith to believe in this man, He will do it for you. And I'm like trying to look at all these, because I got my phone, my iPad, my laptop. So I'm just trying to look everywhere, like, because I'm live on all platforms right now. Like, if you would just believe in the God that we serve, or that I serve, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, if you just believe in God and have faith, if you believe it in your heart and ask, and you will, and it will be given and it will be given to you. Knock on the door and it shall be open. Like, whatever it is that you believe in God for, He will do it for you. And I hope that this testimony helped bless somebody, and it helps somebody to believe in God and what He can do for your life. I didn't come on here to brag about all the stuff that God has been doing for me. It just goes to show me, and I'm just so grateful and thankful. Oh, so this is what I ended the message with. And I just put, they wrote me kind of something nasty, and I just wrote them back and I said, thank you. I just have big faith. I don't expect anything from others. I pray and God gives it to me. I used to always, because they were saying how they're worried and stressed and they always giving for other people and trying to make a way for other people. And I said, I used to always be worried and stressed. I used to always give and never receive. He taught me to do that this past year because I had no choice. I got fired from my job, kept applying to other jobs, wouldn't get hired nowhere. So I had no choice but to rely on God to provide for me. And he did just that. And I said, I'm grateful to see the way that God loves me and provides for me. I'm grateful to have found someone to have gifted me a trip and a ride to and from the airport without me asking to see my grandpa and my family for the 4th of July. And I said, but thank you again. Have a good day, with a heart to the person. I'm so being for real right now that I'm just extremely grateful, and I have no other way to show how grateful I am to God except for to get on my knees and pray, to praise him, and to come on this platform and all my personal platforms and share my testimony so that other people can believe too, because the biggest thing that God wants is to corral people to the kingdom. So I hope that whoever needed to hear this message heard it. And if you're believing in God for something, he loves you and he will do it for you if you just believe in him. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna go work out and go to the gym before it start raining. Okay, I love y'all and peace out, YouTube.